The night Sam found the box, the rain was falling so hard that the whole town looked like it was crying. He was 12 years old, thin as a stick, and he lived with his grandmother in a small house at the end of Miller Street. His parents had died in a car accident when he was 5, and he did not remember much about them. Just a smell. His mother smelled like flowers, and his father smelled like old books. That was all he had left of them. His grandmother, who everyone called Nana Rose, was a quiet woman with silver hair and kind eyes. She never talked about Sam's parents. Whenever he asked questions, she would look away and change the subject. Sam had stopped asking a long time ago. He learned that some doors in life stayed closed, no matter how hard you knocked. That night the power went out because of the storm. Nana Rose lit some candles and told Sam to go to bed early. The wind was shaking the windows, and the old house was making strange sounds. He lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. Then he heard something. A scratching sound. It was coming from under the floor. Sam sat up in bed. He listened carefully. The scratching came again. It was not a mouse. It was too loud and too slow. It sounded like something was trying to get out. He got out of bed and put his ear to the floor. The sound was coming from directly below his room. He knew there was a basement under the house, but Nana Rose had always told him to stay away from it. The door to the basement was locked, and she kept the key around her neck on a thin silver chain. Sam picked up a candle and walked out of his room. The hallway was dark and full of shadows. He moved slowly toward the basement door. The scratching sound was louder now. When he reached the door, he touched the handle. It was cold, colder than it should have been. He tried to turn it, but it was locked, just like always. He stood there for a long time, listening. The scratching stopped. Then there was silence. Complete silence. Even the rain seemed to pause for a moment. And then he heard something else. A voice. It was soft and far away, like someone whispering from the bottom of a well. He could not understand the words, but he felt something strange in his chest. It was not fear. It was something pulling him, like a rope tied to his heart. He went back to his room and lay down, but he could not stop thinking about it. What was in the basement? Why did Nana Rose keep it locked? He decided that he would find out. The next morning, the storm was gone, and the sun was shining. Nana Rose made pancakes for breakfast. She looked tired, like she had not slept well either. Sam watched her carefully as she moved around the kitchen. The silver chain was around her neck, and the small key hung from it, resting against her chest. "Nana," he said, trying to sound casual, "what is in the basement?" She stopped moving. Her back was turned to him, and he could see her shoulders become stiff. She did not answer for a few seconds. Then she turned around and smiled, but it was not a real smile. It was the kind of smile people use when they want to hide something. "Nothing important," she said. "Just old things, boxes and dust." "Can I go down there?" "No," she said quickly, too quickly. "It is not safe. The stairs are broken." Sam did not believe her. He had heard the scratching. He had heard the voice. There was something down there, and it was not just boxes and dust. After breakfast, Nana Rose went to the garden to work. Sam watched her from the window. She was on her knees, pulling weeds from the flower bed. The key was still around her neck. He knew he could not take it from her. He needed another way. He went to the garage and found his father's old toolbox. Inside, there were all kinds of tools, screwdrivers, hammers, pliers, and at the bottom, he found a set of thin metal picks. He had seen people use these in movies to open locks. He did not know if it would work, but he had to try. He waited until Nana Rose was busy in the kitchen making lunch. Then he took the picks and went to the basement door. His hands were shaking. He put the thin metal piece into the lock and moved it around. Nothing happened. He tried again and again. After almost 10 minutes, he heard a small click. His heart jumped. He turned the handle, and this time, the door opened. A wave of cold air hit his face. It smelled old and strange, like wet stone and something sweet that he could not name. The stairs went down into darkness. He held up his phone and turned on the light. Nana Rose had lied. He went down slowly, one step at a time. The basement was bigger than he expected. It was not just a small room under the house. It was wide, with stone walls and a concrete floor. There were boxes and old furniture covered in white sheets, just like Nana Rose had said. But in the far corner, there was something else. A wooden box. It was about the size of a shoebox, but it was made of dark wood with strange symbols carved into it. The symbols looked like nothing Sam had ever seen before. They were not letters or numbers. They looked like tiny pictures of things that did not exist. Stars with too many points, circles inside circles, eyes without faces. Sam picked up the box. It was warm. Not just a little warm. It was warm like it was alive, like it had a heartbeat. He could feel it pulsing gently in his hands. He looked for a way to open it, but there was no lock, no hinge, no lid. It was sealed completely. On the bottom of the box, there was one symbol that was different from the others. It was bigger, and it looked like a hand. A small hand. A child's hand. Without thinking, he pressed his own hand against it. The box opened. It split apart in the middle like a flower blooming. Inside, there was a key. But this was not an ordinary key. It was made of something that looked like glass, but it was not glass. It was clear and smooth, and inside it, there was a light. A small, golden light that moved and danced like a tiny flame. Sam held the key up and looked at it. The light inside it grew brighter, and then, behind him he heard a sound. Not scratching this time, not a whisper. It was a door that had not been there before. He turned around and saw it. In the stone wall of the basement, there was now a door. It was made of old wood, with iron handles, and around its edges, there was the same golden light that was inside the key. Sam stood there, holding the key in one hand and staring at the door. He could feel the pulling again, that strange feeling in his chest, like something on the other side of the door was calling him. He looked at the key. He looked at the door. He knew that if he opened it, nothing would ever be the same again. He knew that some doors, once opened, could never be closed. He put the key in the lock and turned it. The door opened without a sound. No creak, no groan, nothing. It just swung open like it had been waiting for Sam all along. On the other side, there was not darkness. There was light. A soft, silver light that came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Sam stepped through. The moment his foot touched the ground on the other side, the door behind him closed. He spun around and grabbed the handle, but it would not move. The door was locked. He was trapped. His heart started beating fast, and he could feel panic rising inside him, like water filling a cup. He banged on the door with his fists, but it made no sound. It was like hitting a wall made of silence. He took a deep breath and turned around to look at where he was. He was standing in a forest, but it was not like any forest he had ever seen. The trees were enormous, taller than any building in his town. Their trunks were white, like bone, and their leaves were silver. They moved gently in a wind that Sam could not feel. The ground was covered in soft moss that glowed faintly, like it was lit from inside. The air smelled clean and sweet, like rain and honey mixed together. Sam started walking. He did not know where he was going, but standing still felt worse than moving. The glass key was still in his hand, and its golden light had grown dim, like it was resting after doing its job. He put it in his pocket and kept going. After a while he came to a stream. The water was perfectly clear, and he could see smooth stones at the bottom. He knelt down and cupped some water in his hands. It was cold and tasted like nothing he had ever drunk before. It was like drinking light. He felt stronger immediately, like he had slept for 10 hours. Then he heard a voice. Not a whisper this time, but a real voice, clear and sharp. You should not have come here. Sam jumped to his feet and looked around. A girl was standing on the other side of the stream. She looked about his age, maybe a little older. She had dark skin and short black hair, and her eyes were the strangest things Sam had ever seen. They were silver, like the leaves on the trees. She was wearing simple clothes, a brown shirt and brown pants, and she had no shoes on her feet. "Who are you?" Sam asked. "My name is Lyra," she said, "and you are in very serious trouble." "Where am I?" "This place is called the Between. It is the space between your world and all the other worlds. It is not a place for humans." Sam stared at her. "Other worlds? What are you talking about?" Lyra crossed the stream by stepping on the stones. She moved quickly and easily, like she had done it 1,000 times. When she was standing in front of him, he could see that she was taller than him by a few inches. She looked at him with her silver eyes, and there was no warmth in them, only worry. "How did you get here?" she asked. "I found a key, in a box, in my grandmother's basement." Lyra's face changed. The worry became something else, something like fear. "A glass key, with light inside it?" Sam nodded and took the key from his pocket. The moment Lyra saw it, she stepped back like it was a snake. "Put it away," she said. "Put it away right now." Sam shoved the key back into his pocket. "What is wrong? What is this key?" Lyra looked around them, scanning the trees like she was checking for something hiding in the shadows. Then she looked back at Sam. "That key is called the World Breaker. It was made a very long time ago by people who wanted to travel between worlds. But it is dangerous. Every time it is used, it tears a hole between the worlds. And those holes do not heal. Things come through them. Bad things." Sam felt cold. "What kind of bad things?" "Shadows," Lyra said. "They are called the Hollow. They are not alive, and they are not dead. They are something in between. They eat light, they eat warmth, they eat everything, and they are always hungry." As if her words had called them, the light in the forest began to change. The silver glow of the moss started to fade. The leaves on the trees stopped moving. Everything became very still and very quiet. Lyra grabbed Sam's arm. "We need to move. Now." She pulled him through the forest. They ran between the white trees, jumping over roots and ducking under low branches. Lyra moved fast, and Sam had trouble keeping up. He could hear something behind them now. Not footsteps. It was more like a sound being removed, like silence spreading, eating up all the noise in the world. He looked over his shoulder and saw them. The Hollow. They were not like anything Sam could describe. They were shapes made of darkness, but they were not solid. They moved like smoke, flowing between the trees, reaching out with long, thin arms that had no hands. Where they touched the trees, the white bark turned black and crumbled like ash. Where they touched the moss, the glow died. "Do not look at them," Lyra shouted. "If you look at them for too long, they will see inside you. They will find your fears, and they will use them." Sam turned his head and ran faster. His lungs were burning, and his legs felt like they were made of stone, but he kept running. Lyra led him through a narrow gap between two massive rocks and into a cave. She pushed him inside and then turned to face the entrance. She raised her hands, and something happened that made Sam forget everything else. Light came from her hands, not like a flashlight or a lamp. It was like the light from the key, golden and alive. It poured out of her palms and formed a wall across the entrance of the cave. The darkness outside pushed against it, and Sam could hear a sound like ice cracking. The hollow were trying to get in. Lyra stood with her arms out, holding the wall of light. Her face was tight with effort, and Sam could see sweat on her forehead. The hollow pressed harder. The light flickered. "Help me," Lyra said through her teeth. "How?" Sam asked. "I do not know how to do what you are doing." "The key. Take out the key and hold it toward the entrance." Sam pulled the key from his pocket. The moment it was in his hand, the golden light inside it blazed to life, brighter than before. He held it up toward the cave entrance. The light from the key joined the light from Lyra's hands, and together they pushed the darkness back. The hollow screamed. It was not a sound that came from mouths. It was a feeling, a terrible cold sadness that cut through Sam's chest like a knife. But the light was stronger. The hollow pulled back, and then they were gone. The forest outside returned to its silver glow. Lyra dropped her hands and fell to her knees. She was breathing hard. Sam knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She looked at him. For the first time, her silver eyes were not cold. They were tired. "I will be fine. But we do not have much time. The hollow know you are here now. They know you have the key. They will come back, and next time there will be more of them. Then how do I get home?" "You cannot go home. Not the way you came. The door you used is broken now. Using the world breaker always breaks the door behind you. There is only one way back for you." "What way?" Lyra stood up slowly. "There is a place at the center of the between. It is called the Last Door. It is the oldest door in all the worlds. It was here before everything else. If you can reach it, you can use it to go anywhere. But the path to the Last Door is long and dangerous, and no one has reached it in 100 years. Sam looked at the key in his hand. The light inside it was calm now, pulsing gently like a small heart. He did not understand any of this. An hour ago he had been a normal boy, in a normal house. Now he was in a strange world with a strange girl, running from things made of darkness. "Will you help me?" he asked. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I will help you, but you need to understand something. The journey to the Last Door will change you. Everyone who walks that path leaves something behind. That is the price." "What kind of price?" "It is different for everyone. You will not know what it costs until you get there." Sam stood up and put the key back in his pocket. He thought about Nana Rose. He thought about her pancakes, and her garden, and the way she smiled when she thought he was not looking. Whatever the price was, he would pay it. "Let us go," he said. Lyra nodded, and they walked out of the cave together into the silver forest. The journey to the Last Door had begun. The Last Door, Part 3. They walked for what felt like hours. The silver forest stretched on, and every direction looked the same. White trees, glowing moss, silver leaves. Sam had no idea how Lyra knew where she was going, but she walked with confidence, never stopping to think or look around. She just moved forward like she had a map inside her head. Sam had many questions, but Lyra did not seem like the type who enjoyed talking. She walked in silence, her silver eyes always watching the trees, always looking for danger. So Sam stayed quiet too, even though his mind was screaming with things he wanted to know. Finally, after his legs started to ache and his stomach began to growl, he could not hold it in anymore. "Lyra," he said, "what are you?" She did not stop walking. "What do you mean?" "You have silver eyes. You can make light come from your hands. You are clearly not a normal person." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I am a keeper. My people have lived in the between for as long as anyone can remember. We guard the spaces between the worlds. We make sure nothing crosses that should not cross. And the Hollow, you guard against them? The Hollow are our oldest enemy. They were born from the first tear between the worlds, thousands of years ago. Someone used a key like yours and ripped a hole in the fabric that separates everything. The Hollow came through that hole. They have been here ever since, and every new hole makes them stronger. Sam felt a heavy weight in his stomach. So when I used the key, I made things worse. Yes, Lyra said simply. She did not try to make him feel better about it. She just told the truth. Sam respected that, even though it hurt. They came to a clearing where the trees opened up and the sky was visible. Sam looked up and lost his breath. The sky was not blue. It was not black. He could see colors that he did not have names for. There were streaks of purple and green and gold, spinning slowly, like a painting that was still being painted. And in between the colors, he could see other places, other worlds. He saw a city made of crystal. He saw an ocean that was red instead of blue. He saw mountains that floated in the air, with waterfalls falling from their edges into nothing. Those are the worlds, Lyra said, looking up with him. Every one of them is real. Every one of them has people and stories and lives. The between connects them all. It is beautiful, Sam whispered. It is dying, Lyra said. Sam looked at her. She was still staring at the sky, and for the first time, he could see sadness on her face. Real, deep sadness. Every time a hole is torn between the worlds, the between gets weaker. The hollow grows stronger. The connections between the worlds begin to break. One day, if nothing changes, the between will collapse, and all the worlds will crash into each other. Everything will end. Can it be fixed? Sam asked. The last door, Lyra said. It is the heart of the between. It is what holds everything together. If the world breaker key is returned to the last door, the holes can be sealed. The between can heal. But no one has been able to reach the last door for 100 years because the hollow guard the path. Sam touched the key in his pocket. It pulsed warmly, like it understood what they were talking about. So that is why we are going there, Sam said. Not just to send me home, but to fix everything. Lyra looked at him. You understand now. Why did my grandmother have this key? Why was it in her basement? Lyra started walking again, and Sam followed. Your grandmother was a keeper, she said. Sam stopped. What? Rose was one of the strongest keepers who ever lived. She came to the between when she was young, just like you. She fought the hollow. She protected the worlds. But then she fell in love with a man from your world, and she chose to leave. She took the world breaker key with her to keep it safe. She hid it and locked it away so no one would ever use it again. Sam's head was spinning. Nana Rose, his quiet, gentle grandmother who grew flowers and made pancakes, had been a warrior in another world. It seemed impossible. But then he thought about the locked basement, the silver chain around her neck, the way she always looked out the window at night, like she was watching for something. Did my parents know? Sam asked. Lyra shook her head. Your father was Rose's son. He never knew about the between. Rose wanted him to have a normal life. She wanted to protect him from all of this. But she could not protect me, Sam said quietly. No, Lyra agreed. The key chose you, Sam. That scratching you heard, that voice, that was the key trying to reach you. It has been waiting for someone to carry it back to the last door. It waited for 100 years, and it chose you. Sam did not feel chosen. He felt small and scared and very far from home, but he kept walking. As the hours passed, the forest began to change. The white trees became darker. Their bark was no longer clean and smooth. It was cracked and gray, and some of the trees had black marks on them, like burns. The glowing moss was thinner here, and in some places it was completely gone. leaving only bare, dark ground. "The Hollow have been here," Lyra said. "We are getting closer to their territory." They came to a bridge. It was made of stone and crossed a deep valley. At the bottom of the valley, Sam could see darkness. Not normal darkness. It was thick and moving, like a black river flowing slowly. He could feel cold coming up from it, a cold that went deeper than his skin, deeper than his bones. It reached inside him and touched something at his center, something warm and bright, and tried to pull it out. "Do not look down," Lyra said. "That is the void. It is where the Hollow come from. If you stare into it, you will start to forget things. First small things, like what you had for breakfast. Then bigger things, like your name. Then everything." Sam kept his eyes straight ahead and walked across the bridge. Every step felt heavy, like the darkness below was pulling at his feet. He could hear things rising from the void, not sounds exactly, feelings, loneliness, sadness, a terrible emptiness that made him want to sit down and give up. He thought about Nana Rose. He held on to the memory of her smile, her pancakes, the way she hummed while she worked in the garden. The feelings from the void pushed against these memories, but they held. When they reached the other side, Sam realized he was crying. He wiped his face quickly, hoping Lyra had not seen, but she had. "There is no shame in tears," she said. "The void tries to break you by making you feel alone. Tears mean you still have something to lose. That is strength, not weakness." Sam nodded and took a deep breath. They kept moving. The landscape changed again. They were out of the forest now and walking through a field of gray grass that whispered when the wind blew through it. In the distance, Sam could see something, a structure. It was tall and dark, rising out of the ground like a giant tooth. "What is that?" he asked. "That is the Tower of Echoes," Lyra said. "It is the first of 3 tests on the path to the last door. Everyone who walks this path must pass through the tower. Inside, you will hear voices. They will say things to you, things that are true and things that are false. The test is to know the difference. What happens if I fail? You stay in the tower forever, listening to echoes until you forget who you are." Sam looked at the tower. It was getting closer with every step. He could already hear something coming from it. Faint sounds carried on the wind. They sounded like voices, hundreds of them, all talking at once. "Can you come with me?" he asked. "No," Lyra said. "The tower only allows one person inside at a time. I will wait for you. But Sam, listen to me carefully. Whatever you hear in there, remember who you are. That is the only thing that matters. Not what the voices say about you, not what they promise you, not what they threaten. Just remember who you are." Sam looked at Lyra. She was serious and strong and brave, and he wished he could be like her. But he was just Sam, a 12-year-old boy from Miller Street who missed his grandmother. Maybe that was enough. He walked toward the Tower of Echoes and pushed open its heavy iron door. The voices swallowed him whole. The Last Door, Part 4. The inside of the tower was nothing like Sam expected. From the outside, it had looked dark and frightening, like a place where bad things happened. But inside, it was bright. The walls were made of something that looked like mirrors, and they reflected everything 1,000 times. Sam could see himself from every angle, stretching out into forever. 1,000 Sams, all looking scared, all looking small. The voices started immediately. At first they were soft, like people talking in another room. He could not understand the words. Then they got louder and clearer, and he could hear them perfectly. "Sam," said a voice. It was his mother's voice. He knew it was his mother's voice, even though he had not heard it since he was 5 years old. Something deep inside him recognized it, the way a plant recognizes the sun. "Sam, come find me. I am here. I am waiting for you." His whole body went stiff. His eyes filled with tears. He took a step toward the voice, then stopped. Lyra had told him. The voices say things that are true and things that are false. His mother was dead. She had been dead for 7 years. This voice was not real, but it sounded so real. Sam, said another voice, his father's voice, deep and warm and safe. We never left you, son. We have been here all along. Just through this wall. Just come a little closer. Sam pressed his hands against his ears, but it did not help. The voices were not coming from outside. They were coming from inside his head. He could not block them out. He dropped his hands and forced himself to keep walking forward. There had to be an exit on the other side. He just had to keep moving. The mirror walls began to change. They no longer showed Sam's reflection. Instead, they showed pictures. He saw himself as a baby, held in his mother's arms. She was smiling down at him, and his father was standing behind her with his hand on her shoulder. They looked so happy. Sam had never seen this picture before. He did not know if it was real, or if the tower had created it from his deepest wishes. Then the pictures changed. He saw himself at school, sitting alone at lunch. He saw the other kids talking and laughing together, while he ate his sandwich by himself. He saw the nights when he lay in bed, and wondered why his parents had to die. Why him? Why could he not have a normal family like everyone else? You are alone, said a new voice. This one was cold and flat, like a machine. You have always been alone. Your grandmother pities you. She does not love you. She takes care of you because she has to, because no one else would. Sam's hands tightened into fists. That is not true, he said out loud. His voice echoed through the tower, bouncing off the mirror walls and coming back to him from every direction. She lied to you, the cold voice continued. She kept secrets from you your whole life. She locked the basement because she was hiding from you. She did not trust you. She did not think you were strong enough to know the truth. Sam could feel anger building inside him, hot and sharp, because part of what the voice was saying was true. Nana Rose had lied to him. She had kept secrets. She had never told him about the key, about the between, about who she really was. For his whole life, she had pretended to be just a simple old woman, and she had let him believe that his parents' story was ordinary and sad. But the voice was also wrong. Sam knew it was wrong about the most important part. Nana Rose loved him. He knew this the way he knew how to breathe. She loved him in the way she cut the crust off his sandwiches, because he did not like the crust. She loved him in the way she sat beside his bed when he was sick, reading to him until he fell asleep. She loved him in the way she checked his window every night to make sure it was locked, to make sure he was safe. She loves me, Sam said. She lied to protect me, and maybe that was wrong, but she loves me, and I love her, and nothing you say is going to change that. The mirrors cracked, all of them, all at once, splitting into 1,000 pieces that hung in the air like frozen rain. The cold voice screamed, a long, terrible sound that shook the whole tower. And then the pieces of mirror fell to the ground, and behind them was a door, a simple wooden door with a brass handle. Sam walked to it and opened it. On the other side, he found himself standing on a hill overlooking a vast gray plain. Lyra was there, sitting on a rock, waiting for him. When she saw him, she stood up. She did not ask him what happened inside the tower. She just looked at his face and nodded, like she could see the answer in his eyes. The second test, she said, pointing across the plain. The Bridge of Truths. Sam looked where she was pointing. Far away, barely visible in the gray light, there was a bridge that stretched across a gap so deep and so wide that he could not see the other side or the bottom. The bridge was thin, barely wide enough for one person. What is the test? Sam asked. The bridge asks you questions. You must answer honestly, completely honestly. If you lie, even a small lie, even a lie you do not know you are telling, the bridge breaks beneath you, and you fall. Fall into what? Into forgetting, Into nothing. Into a place where you do not exist anymore. Sam swallowed hard. What kind of questions? The kind you do not want to answer. The kind you hide from yourself. They walked across the gray plain. It took a long time. There were no trees here, no plants, no life at all. Just flat gray ground under a gray sky. It was the loneliest place Sam had ever been. He was grateful that Lyra was with him, even though she was not talking. Just having another person nearby made the emptiness easier to bear. When they reached the bridge, Sam could see that it was made of something strange. It was not wood or stone or metal. It was made of words, actual words, carved into a material he could not name. Thousands and thousands of words, in languages he did not recognize, covering every surface of the bridge. "Can you come with me on this one?" Sam asked, already knowing the answer. "No," Lyra said, "but I will be here when you come out the other side." Sam stepped onto the bridge. The moment his foot touched it, the words beneath him began to glow. A voice spoke, and this time it was not his mother or father or a cold machine. It was his own voice. It was Sam talking to Sam. "First question," said the voice that was his. "Are you afraid?" Sam almost said no. The word was right there on his tongue, ready to come out. Boys were not supposed to be afraid. Heroes in stories were not afraid. But this was the bridge of truths, and a lie would kill him. "Yes," he said, "I am more afraid than I have ever been in my life." The bridge held. He took another step. "Second question, do you blame your parents for dying?" This one hit him like a punch. He had never said it out loud. He had never even allowed himself to think it clearly. But deep down, in the smallest and most hidden part of his heart, there was a feeling. A terrible, shameful feeling that he had carried since he was 5 years old. "Yes," he said, and his voice cracked. "I know it was not their fault. I know they did not choose to die. But sometimes, late at night, I am angry at them. I am angry that they left me. And then I feel terrible for being angry, because they did not have a choice. And it is not fair to be angry at someone for something they could not control. But the anger is still there." The bridge held. Tears were falling from Sam's eyes, but he kept walking. "Third question, what do you want more than anything in the world?" This was the easiest question of all, and also the hardest, because the answer was so simple and so painful that saying it out loud felt like opening a wound. "I want my family back," he said. "I want my mom and my dad to be alive. I want to come home from school and have them be there. I want to be normal. I do not want to be the boy whose parents died. I do not want to be brave or special or chosen. I just want to be a kid with a family." The bridge glowed brighter than the sun. Every word carved into its surface lit up at once, and Sam had to close his eyes. When he opened them, he was on the other side. The bridge was behind him, and ahead of him was a new landscape. Rolling hills covered in pale gold grass, and in the distance, rising above everything else, a massive structure that looked like a door frame made of light. "The last door," he whispered. He could see it. It was close now. Maybe a day's walk, maybe less. The golden frame stood against the gray sky like a promise, like a way home. Lyra appeared beside him. He did not know how she had crossed the gap. Maybe keepers had their own paths. She looked at the last door in the distance, and for the first time since Sam had met her, she smiled. "The third test is ahead," she said, "but let us rest first. You have earned it." They sat on the hillside and looked at the golden doorframe shining in the distance. Sam was tired and sad, and wrung out like a wet towel. But he was also something else. The truths he had spoken on the bridge had been heavy things. Things he had carried for years without knowing their weight. Now they were out, and he felt like he could breathe properly for the first time in a long time. "You did well," Lyra said quietly. "Most people cannot do what you just did." What? Cry in front of a magic bridge? Lyra almost laughed. Almost. Tell the truth about the things that hurt the most. That is harder than fighting the hollow. That is harder than anything. Sam looked at the golden light in the distance. Tomorrow, they would face the third test. Tomorrow, they would reach the last door. And then he would have to make a choice that would cost him something precious. But that was tomorrow. Right now, he sat on a hillside next to a girl with silver eyes, and for just a moment, the between did not feel so frightening after all. The Last Door, Part 5. They slept on the hillside under the strange, colorful sky of the between. Sam did not dream. His body was so tired that sleep came like a heavy blanket, covering everything. When he woke up, the golden light of the last door was still there in the distance, glowing against the gray sky like a second sun. Lyra was already awake. She was sitting cross-legged on the grass with her eyes closed and her hands resting on her knees. The golden light from her palms was glowing faintly, pulsing in and out like breathing. She was doing something, but Sam did not know what. He waited until she opened her eyes. "The hollow are gathering," she said. Her voice was calm, but her silver eyes were hard. "They know we are close to the last door. They will try to stop us." "How many?" Sam asked. "Many. More than I have ever seen in one place." Sam felt the fear rise inside him, but it was different now. After the tower and the bridge, he understood his fear. It was part of him, like his bones and his blood. He did not need to pretend it was not there. He just needed to keep moving, despite it. They started walking toward the last door. The golden hills gave way to rough, rocky ground. The air became colder. The sky, which had been full of beautiful spinning colors, was darker here. The colors were fading, replaced by gray and black. Sam could feel the sadness of the between. This place was dying. The hollow were eating it piece by piece, and one day there would be nothing left. After a few hours of walking, they reached the base of a wide valley. On the other side of the valley, standing on top of a high cliff, was the last door. It was enormous, much bigger than Sam had realized from far away. The frame was made of golden light, so bright that it hurt to look at directly. Just a smooth, flat surface of pure white light, like a wall made of morning. It was the most beautiful thing Sam had ever seen. But between them and the cliff, the valley was filled with darkness. The hollow were there. Hundreds of them. Thousands. They moved and swirled like a black ocean, filling the valley from one side to the other. Their smoky bodies twisted and reached upward, and Sam could hear them. That terrible sound of silence spreading, of warmth being stolen, of hope being eaten alive. "The third test," Sam said. "Yes," Lyra said. "The third test is not a puzzle or a question. The third test is a choice." She turned to face him. Her silver eyes were bright, and Sam could see something in them that he had not seen before. Pain. Deep, old pain that she had been carrying long before Sam had ever found the key. "The World Breaker key has the power to seal all the holes between the worlds," Lyra said. "But to do that, it must be placed inside the last door. When the key enters the door, it will release all of its light at once. Every hole, every tear, every wound in the between will heal. The hollow will have no more openings to feed from. They will fade and disappear." "That sounds good," Sam said. "What is the choice?" Lyra took a breath. "When the holes seal, all the doors between the worlds will close, permanently. Nothing will be able to cross between the worlds ever again. The between will heal, but it will also become a wall. Every world will be separated forever." Sam stared at her. "Including my world. Including your world. If you place the key in the last door, You will have one moment to step through to your world. Then the door will close, and it will never open again. The between will be sealed off from everything. And you? Sam asked. What happens to you and the other keepers? Lyra looked away. We live in the between. If it seals, we seal with it. We will continue to exist here, but we will be alone, cut off from all the worlds we once protected. We will have peace, but we will have solitude. Sam felt something crack inside his chest. That is not fair. You are asking me to save the worlds, but trap you here forever. I am not asking you anything, Lyra said. I am telling you the truth. The choice is yours. You can place the key in the last door and seal the between. Or, you can use the key to open the last door for yourself, go home, and leave things as they are. The hollow will continue to grow. The between will continue to die. Eventually, all the worlds will collapse, but that will take time. Maybe 100 years, maybe more. You will be long gone by then. Sam looked at the valley full of darkness. He looked at the last door, glowing on the cliff. He looked at Lyra, this brave, strong girl who had saved his life and guided him through things that should have been impossible. There has to be another way, he said. There is not. There is always another way. Lyra shook her head. Not this time, Sam. Some problems do not have clean answers. Some choices hurt, no matter which one you pick. That is what it means to be human. Sam sat down on the rocky ground. He took the glass key from his pocket and held it in both hands. The golden light inside it was bright and warm and steady. He could feel it pulsing against his palms, like a tiny heart beating just for him. This small thing, this beautiful thing, held the power to save everything and destroy everything at the same time. He thought about Nana Rose. He thought about her standing in her garden, pulling weeds, humming softly. He thought about the way she looked at the sky at night, and now he understood. She had been looking at the between. She had been remembering a world she had left behind, a life she had given up so that her son could be normal, so that Sam could be safe. She had made her choice. She had chosen love over everything else. Sam stood up. He looked at Lyra. I am going to seal the between. Lyra's eyes widened. Sam, you do not have to do this. You are 12 years old. This is not your burden. You said the key chose me. Maybe this is why. Maybe I am supposed to be the one who gives something up. The price, Lyra whispered. I told you the path to the last door costs something. This is the price. You will never be able to come back here. You will never see any of this again. And you will carry the memory of it forever. Sam nodded. I know. They looked at each other for a long moment. Then Lyra did something unexpected. It was quick and fierce, and when she let go, her silver eyes were wet. You are braver than anyone I have ever known, she said. I am just a kid from Miller Street, Sam said. But he smiled when he said it. They ran, straight down into the valley, straight into the darkness. The hollow came at them from every direction. Lyra's hands blazed with golden light, pushing the shadows back. Sam held the key in front of him, and its light cut through the darkness like a sword. The hollows screamed their silent screams and reached for them with their long, thin arms, but the light was strong. Together, Sam and Lyra burned a path through the valley of darkness. It was the hardest thing Sam had ever done. The cold was unbelievable. It felt like being buried in ice. The hollow grabbed at his clothes, his hair, his skin. He could feel them trying to reach inside him, trying to find his fears and his sadness and use them against him. But Sam had already faced his fears. He had already spoken his truths. He had nothing left for the hollow to take. They reached the base of the cliff. Lyra created a stairway of light, and they climbed. The hollow surged behind them, a tidal wave of darkness rising higher and higher. Sam could feel the cliff shaking beneath his feet. They were running out of time. When they reached the top, the last door was right there. It was even more beautiful up close. The golden frame hummed with a sound that was not really a sound. It was more like a feeling, a deep vibration that went through Sam's entire body. Inside the frame, the white light was warm and gentle. He could feel it on his face, like sunlight on the first day of spring. Sam turned to Lyra one last time. The Hollow were climbing the cliff behind them. They had maybe 30 seconds. "Thank you," he said, "for everything." Lyra smiled. A real smile, wide and bright and full of life. "Tell your grandmother that the Between says thank you. And tell her that we forgive her for leaving." Sam turned to the last door. He held up the glass key. The golden light inside it blazed brighter than it had ever blazed before. He could feel the key vibrating in his hand, ready, eager, alive. He pushed the key into the white light of the door. Everything exploded, not with violence, but with brilliance. Golden light poured from the door in every direction, washing over the valley, washing over the cliff, washing over the hollow. Where the light touched the darkness dissolved like smoke and wind. The hollow did not scream. They simply faded, becoming thinner and thinner until they were nothing at all. The light hit Sam, and he felt it go through him. It was warm and kind, and it told him things without words. It told him that everything was going to be okay. It told him that the Between would heal. It told him that Lyra and the Keepers would find peace in their sealed world, that they would not be sad, that they would have each other, and that would be enough. Then the light pushed him, gently but firmly, like a hand on his back. He felt himself falling, not down, but sideways, through something soft and bright, through layers and layers of worlds, until suddenly his feet hit solid ground, and he was standing in his grandmother's basement. The stone wall where the door had been was just a wall now, smooth and plain and ordinary. The wooden box lay on the floor, empty and cold. The key was gone. Sam walked up the stairs. The basement door was open. He walked down the hallway to the kitchen, where Nana Rose was standing at the counter making tea. She turned when she heard his footsteps, and the moment she saw his face, she knew. Her hand went to her mouth, her eyes filled with tears. "You found it," she whispered. "You found the key." "I did more than find it," Sam said. "I used it. I went to the Between. I met a girl named Lyra, and I sealed the last door." Nana Rose sat down heavily in her kitchen chair. She was crying now, silently, with tears running down the lines of her face. She looked old and tired and full of 100 years of secrets. But she also looked relieved, like a weight she had carried her whole life had finally been lifted. "I am sorry," she said. "I am sorry I never told you." Sam sat down next to her and took her hand. "Lyra said to tell you that the Between says thank you, and that they forgive you for leaving." Nana Rose closed her eyes. A small smile crossed her lips. She squeezed Sam's hand and held it like she would never let go. Outside, the sun was shining on Miller Street. The rain was gone. The air was clean and warm. Somewhere, in a place between all the worlds, the golden light of the last door was healing the wounds that had been open for far too long. And a girl with silver eyes was watching the colors return to the sky, knowing that a boy from a small house at the end of a quiet street had given up something magical so that everything else could survive. Sam never went back to the Between. He never found another key or another door. But sometimes, late at night, when the house was quiet and Nana Rose was asleep, he would look out his window at the stars and think about silver forests and bridges made of words, and a door made of light. And he would feel, just for a moment, a warmth in his pocket where the key used to be. Some doors close forever, but the light they leave behind never goes out.